All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Friday, May 23rd, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. This is All in Horns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. And I have no idea. We definitely didn't plan this, but I'm pretty sure we're wearing like the exact same shirt. I don't really.
I didn't even notice that until now.
Yeah. As soon as I hit record, I was like, "Oh man, it looks like we're wearing the exact same thing." That it was not planned, but I mean, it just shows where we're at. We're on the same wavelength basically all the time.
I don't like being on that. I don't like being on that wavelength.
No, unfortunately, that is just how our brains work. You know, when you're friends with somebody since what, 7th grade?
Too long.
Yeah, too long. Yeah, I've lived in the same neighborhood, in the same dorm, or communicated with this guy almost every single day since like 7th grade. So yeah, we're pretty much on the same wavelength at all times, unfortunately. What's really creepy too, Jake, is you'll send me a tweet and I won't have read it yet, and then I'll send you the same exact tweet.
Or we'll send something to each other at the same exact time, whether it be sending the same text, the same tweet, sending the same Instagram reel that's completely random.
At the same time.
Yes, at the same time.
It's
or
like
it'll be
our algorithms have lined up and synced up perfectly.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I'm happy that other people can't see our group. It's like the real meme where it's like the wife being like, "Oh, let me scroll through your phone," and be like, go into the like search bar on the Safari, try to find bad stuff, nothing there. Try to find bad message, nothing. Oh, what's this group chat here with all your buddies? Grabs the phone, throws it in the sink. No.
No.
What do you guys talk about? You don't want to know.
Trust me. Yeah, no. My FBI agent, who is assigned to me to, keep tabs on my phone, he has quit and gone a long time ago. He's like, I can't deal with this.
Remember that day the Secret Service knocked on our door?
Yeah. Remember that? Yeah. But no, it's very similar to when you and your best friend are like chatting and then y'all say the same thing at the same time. We do that, except we're 3-4 states away from one another, and we do it over text or sending each other a meme. And it's pretty disturbing a lot of the time, but that's where we are today. Anyway, hey, on this Friday's episode, we're going to immediately react to the baseball 12 overtime 12 inning game and a losing effort to Tennessee in the SEC quarterfinal. And then we will also, as of time of recording, we're still very early on. Obviously, softball was in a weather delay for a while. We are recording this near midnight, and so it's about the top of the 3rd inning right now. And so we were like, you know what? We both have work in the morning. What's the point of trying to wait this thing out? We have no idea if there's even going to be another weather delay that'll further this delay even more so. But we're going to give somewhat of a take on the softball as much as we possibly can. But baseball goes down, Jake. And it was a 12-inning game against Tennessee, about a 4.5-hour long game. A good effort, a valiant effort. I thought the pitching actually played fairly well. I can't really blame the pitching on this one. The bats had opportunities.
The defense.
Do what?
The errors.
Yeah.
The missing on that double, you talk about the pitching being good. Well, in that inning where they got their first 2 runs, that should have been a 0-run inning. There was just a standard, easy as could be double play there to be had, and just a complete fielding error.
Yep.
And so that to me is what sunk them in this game.
What's crazy is you can get 1 or 2 errors in a game, and it can cost you an entire game. Texas had just far too many issues and problems, and that's just it wasn't the cleanest game. Now, I do believe the broadcast mentioned that they talked to Schloss, and he had even brought up the fact of, look, we're not trying to win. We're also not giving it, the full roster, the full, ace playing, the starting lineup and the rotation of the pitching staff and whatnot. And so kind of said, look, we're just trying to prepare for regionals. We're trying to get ourselves and our team ready to take on that number 1 seed in the regionals and get into supers and hopefully into Omaha in a couple of weeks. And so, he's playing for health, playing and obviously you're battling and you go into 12 innings, you're still trying to win the game. You're still trying.
Yeah,
to
I mean, they
advance.
did bring Volantis in. That's actually where the winning runs came off of, was off of Volantis.
Yeah. And I thought he played well, but hey, a big shout out to Ethan Walker, starter. I mean, doesn't get a whole lot of playing time, barely gets seen the field all season long. Comes in and pitches 5 almost or 4.
Yeah, he outpitched the
1/3.
SEC pitcher of the year.
Yeah.
Texas was shelling the SEC pitcher of the year, but then the Tennessee bullpen came in, and then all of a sudden, Texas was they just again had too many strikeouts. That's you talk about the fielding errors, which while I was talking about the fielding errors, by the way, softball had a bad fielding error that led to the game getting tied. I'm about had it with watching fielding errors today, but the strikeouts were kind of the other story. The bats started hot, and then obviously they waned off. They had multiple chances to win this game. It doesn't really leave me more kind of like I said going into it. I was like, if they could go out in the first round, they could win the whole thing. It's not really going to change my opinion that much, which is there's still some concerns with this team. I don't think they're probably a national title favorite right now, despite the fact they may get that number 1 seed. But they also definitely do have the ability to make a deep run.
Can I make an excuse I think a big turning point was the concussion to the umpire behind home plate.
I think one of the softball players just got a cut. The errors I am watching right now are making my head spin. I want to turn this game off.
Oh gosh, that was a horrible throw to third.
Yeah, it looked like she tried to hit her with the softball instead of just throwing it to the third baseman.
Yeah, that was
top of the third, 1 out, and bases just got loaded off that. In case you're wondering where we are, what we're seeing,
you'll know based on
there was just 2 horrendous errors back to back. They should be out of this inning, and they are not even close.
Yeah, and now bases are loaded with 1 out. But
the umpire completely disrupted the flow of the game.
That was 20
minutes.
How long does it take to figure all that out? I mean, that was an extremely long time. And I know it takes a little while to put those pads on and get all situated and stuff. But my God, hey, we gotta take care of our own. So we gotta have a backup ready. I want a guy sitting in the locker room, full pads, ready to go. If something happens to an ump, they got another sub coming in. Doesn't need a warm up, doesn't need to put his pads on, just sitting in the locker room ready to go, all suited up.
Well, it sounded like they put the ump through concussion protocol before they even had the other ump get ready.
If you even have to perform concussion protocol, the other guy should already be coming in.
Yeah, as soon as he was dizzy, when he had taken a shot to the head. I mean, I get there being a delay in the game to bring it up in, but that took way too long. That was like 20 minutes. The broadcasters weren't informed. They were doing their best to just try to keep the thing going. And it was
such a cluster. It was horrible.
It was really bad. So that made the game go longer because this game reminded you, you had mentioned to me about just there's no flow to this game. And it's like, it reminded me of baseball before the pitch clock.
Yeah.
Where the game just felt completely out of rhythm. And not just because of that ump. There's a lot of pitching changes. There's a lot of things going on in this game that led to little delays. Ironically, softball getting delayed by weather. So there's just been no rhythm to this day for Texas sports.
It has felt very difficult to sit and watch full attention span to baseball or softball at the moment.
Oh, softball just missed what should have been a fly out. This has been one of the biggest disaster of any. We should probably cut the broadcast right now because apparently us recording during this game is bad luck.
Yeah, that also just looked like a toddler trying to catch a ball in the outfield.
Yeah, that was the softball I am watching on my other monitor is distracting from the podcast because it's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting here. You see my neck cricked, but yeah, play in the outfield, I mean, that looked like a toddler trying to run down a ball and just had no idea where it was or couldn't locate it.
They should have gotten out of this inning 1-0. It is now 3-1 Clemson with runners on second and third and one out.
And what I mean, 2 errors, but I mean,
I would really count the outfield one as well.
I
I mean, it would have been a difficult catch, but that's the way that was hit. I don't know if she was out of position or if there was a shift.
It looked like she just lost it, to be honest with you. She just didn't time it properly.
Yeah. And so maybe the delay, maybe it's past some bedtimes or something.
This is almost just a live stream at this point.
Yeah, at this point, but softball is completely combobulated. It's made us combobulated.
It's a tough look. Yeah, it's not fun right now. But
there it is. Clemson Tigers undefeated in night games this season, 11-0. Never had a chance.
They've got some kind of voodoo, some kind of tiger voodoo going on, or Dabo's praying for him in the chapel or something like that. something ain't right with that. Something ain't right with that. Undefeated at night games, 11-0. Yeah. But yeah, no, Jake. I thought Bailu really struggled. You know, he had a tough go at it, and he's still working his way back. And there were just some certain parts of the rotation that you probably need to step up for the Bats. I thought in the extras, in the 11th, where you had 2 guys in scoring position, and you got the little blooper over the shortstop, but the shortstop ended up making the play for Tennessee, making the double play, and that seemed like the moment it went off the bat, Jake, I said, "Oh, we got a walk off. We're winning this thing." And then in a half a second later, it was a double play, and I just went, what just happened? And I feel like Texas, that happened to the Texas bench, happened, over there in the dugout, coaching staff. Really, from that point on, Tennessee had all momentum and just kind of closed that game out in the 12th.
Yeah, no, that was the play that, I mean, really turned things. And like you mentioned, just the Bats, they started so well and against the best pitcher in the SEC.
Yeah.
But
now he's been struggling. Apparently he's been struggling. Dole has been struggling for the last 2 weeks or so, and they're hoping he can kind of get it going before regionals start up. But Tennessee, fortunate that they got through this one, to be honest, because their hopes are still alive to get a much better seed come regionals.
Yeah, to be able to at least host a regional for them. Yeah. And this probably secured them hosting a regional. I mean, there's a lot more on the stake for Tennessee than for Texas, but I still would like to see Texas come out and just win this one game at the very least. But they just the strikeouts to me are just the number one concern right now going into not the pitching. That there's still been some hitting batters, some walks.
There was one or two hit batters today.
Yeah, and one of the runs was walked in. And so there still is some of that with the pitching. I'm far more concerned about the amount of strikeouts this team gets. I mentioned it after the OU series. They had 18, 19 strikeouts in this game. They had over 6 innings worth of strikeouts.
Yeah.
And just chasing breaking balls that are just not even in the zone. Feels like they're constantly behind in the pitch count. And when you're behind in the pitch count and gets good pitching, you're doomed.
It feels like they're identifying the pitches late. And they seem like they're out of rhythm. They're identifying pitches late. They're not finding the arm slot, and so it just feels like some of them are out of rhythm. But then this team all of a sudden catches fire, and you've got 2 or 3 guys on base, and then again it feels like Texas is just leaving a lot of guys stranded in scoring position, and it feels like it's been a consistent theme. But that's also 1 or 2 things going your way, and now you're looking at a 4 or 5 run win for Texas in regulation.
Yeah, I mean, Texas had heavily out-hit in Tennessee. I don't know how the final hit count turned out. I know, around the 8th, 9th inning.
10-9 Texas.
Okay, it was 8-4 at some point in the 8th or 9th inning. Texas was out-hitting Tennessee. And so it really was just the strikeouts, the clutch hitting.
Oddly enough, Texas had 1 less error than Tennessee as well.
Yeah, and so it came down to kind of the clutch hitting. They left too many on base, and then to me, I want to see them get ahead in some pitch counts, and just if I'm another team preparing right now to play Texas in a regional and a super regional, wherever, I'm put my best breaking ball pitcher out there and just go and throw breaking balls until they prove they hold their water. Because so many times they're chasing balls that end up in the dirt. And I don't know if they're just identifying it as a fastball early. And I'm not sitting there saying it's easy. I mean, I'm not a baseball player by any means, but that to me is just the clear number one issue for this team right now. Because if they just go cold hitting, it doesn't matter how well your pitching does, and the pitching was more than good enough to win this ball game today.
No, you're 100% correct, Jake. And so right now, I'm sorry, I was looking at softball scores. I'm trying to pull up baseball and what the SEC looks like moving forward with the other side of the bracket as well.
There's still quarterfinal games to be played tomorrow. Because I know A&M, they've advanced to the they beat Auburn today, so they play in the quarterfinals tomorrow.
Vanderbilt is taking care of Oklahoma currently as we're recording 6-1, top of the 8th. That game's essentially over. So it looks like Vanderbilt will advance and play Tennessee. So, and I kind of wanted to see that Texas Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I that is the one thing I was kind of looking forward to, Texas getting to play some of the teams they hadn't played during the regular season in a Tennessee and possibly a Vanderbilt, and then maybe get a rematch against Arkansas. I didn't really expect this team to make it to the SEC championship. I knew they weren't going to prioritize winning this tournament because there was no reason to. I was just hoping they could win the game against Tennessee, and then whether you beat Vanderbilt or not doesn't really matter. The loss to Tennessee really doesn't matter, though. They're going to end up being somewhere between a 1 to a 3 seed. It really doesn't make that big of a difference.
Yeah, they might still hold on depending on how the rest of the tournament works out. Specifically, more so in the SEC than anywhere else. Texas might still finish with the 1 seed overall.
Yeah, and to give you an idea of how this game meant less for Texas, the betting market before this game was minus 200 for Tennessee money line. So you'd have to bet $200 to win 100.
Yeah,
that is crazy. You don't see that often when one team is, what you would think would be the favorite.
They had a good idea of knowing.
They had a walk-on pitcher that had come in from what was it, Walter State, and against the SEC pitcher of the year. So I am happy in some regards with how Texas played today. It's just more the fact that the things that have been a concern to me were still kind of the story of the day of why they weren't able to win.
It was also, there were moments where Texas could have won this game. I mean,
they had multiple chances to win this game.
They had 4 or 5 different opportunities to win the game. And you could have said possibly the same thing for Texas or for Tennessee. Tennessee actually went up in extras. They went up in the 10th inning. If I have that correct. Yeah, they went up.
That was really Tennessee's first chance at winning the game was in extras. Texas had multiple chances to put the game away.
Yeah. And then Texas went ahead and tied it up in the bottom of the 10th and pushed it.
And that's when Texas also should have ended. Texas had a chance to when they didn't win in the 10th, and then that double play happened in 11th. I was like, they're not winning this game.
It's just not meant to be. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it wasn't meant to be. But yeah, the umpire stole all the momentum. I'm blaming him for this game. It's not Texas.
Florida blamed the rain delay for when Texas won that game in that series.
Okay,
so,
well then I'm going to go with the narrative of it was the umpire.
All SEC fan bases make some type of an excuse when they lose. So let's just join in. We're SEC now. So the only reason we lost was because of the umpire delay.
Absolutely. There's no other reason. And
otherwise it's 15-0. It's a run.
We had a walk-on transfer. Yeah. Okay. You have the pitcher of the year. You should have won by so much more. That's Texas A&M's loser mentality. But yeah, I mean, we should have lost by more.
We didn't score an offensive touchdown at home, and y'all only won by 2.
I've heard that. I've legit heard that. Yeah,
I was not coming up with that at the top of my head. I'm not that dumb to be able to think of that on my own. Yeah, and I'm pretty dumb, but not that dumb.
We had someone who's only seen maybe half an inning of pitching, and we still had a chance to win that game. So we should have lost by more, which is a bizarre statement to make in the first place. But Jake, that's really
for softball.
I'm looking forward, Jake. Looking forward to regionals. I do think this team is gonna kind of they're gonna bring another level of energy and intensity to regionals.
And you just get out of that SEC play. A team from your own conference can't be seeded with you, so they will not have an SEC team. Because I saw, speaking of dumb A&M fans, saw a dumb A&M fan going, if the rules were reversed, Texas would be put into A&M's regional, so A&M should be put into Texas regional. It's like, actually, they would not. They would 100% not, because they are in the same conference, and that cannot happen. You can only play each other in a super regional. But I think it'll be good for Texas. Get out of SEC play for some games. Hopefully, kind of sweep through your regional, get some momentum back, kind of similar to softball, and just kind of get some momentum back, and then see who you play in the super regional. Because I do expect this team to get past the regional at least, but I do have concerns about this team making Omaha, just because of some of the inconsistencies that we've seen. Those are things that can cost you in the postseason and not be able to get to Omaha.
I will say this though, Jake. I think I'm gonna lean more so on the side of the bigger picture. I think we've seen this Texas team hit in big moments, come up in big moments, make clutch plays, whether that be fielding or in the batter's box or even in the pitching. This team collectively, full body of work, I think have been more the beneficiary of clutch moments and plays and timely, things going their way in a close game than the latter. And so I know it feels that way, obviously with the SEC, tournament game against Tennessee, the Oklahoma series a little bit at times,
the strikeouts in the OU series,
and then specifically the Arkansas series, really jumps out to you as well. So, I know that's kind of been more recency bias, but full body of work, I think Texas as a whole has played much better in those moments, and I think that they can kind of get back to that game. I'm going to take the optimistic side and believe that they're going to get more so on that side of things than they are where they currently are.
Yeah, and having the home field for regionals and super regionals, that's probably the biggest thing. Just because
they've been on the road for a while now, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, they were at Florida, they were at Oklahoma, or no, they were not at Florida. They were at home against Florida. Florida was the most concerning series loss.
They were at Fayetteville, they were at Arkansas, they were at Oklahoma, and then obviously in the SEC tournament is a neutral, venue.
Yeah, and so going back to the dish will be a welcome sight for this team, and hopefully they can just use the regional to get momentum, kind of just take care of business in that. But I am excited that we're finally here. The end of the season was a little bit of a grind, just because not just because they were struggling, but also just is football into basketball into baseball. I think we were both just a little not necessarily burnt out, but exhausted from being so tuned into everything as it had gone on, that it's like, okay, let's get to the postseason now, because we kind of knew what the Texas team was. We kind of known that they were going to be a top 5 seed at worst in the regional or in the the postseason for a while now, and so now it's finally here.
Jake, let's go ahead. Some college football breaking news was released yesterday afternoon, and so we wanted to just to touch on it briefly. We're probably going to break it down and dive much more into it. Essentially, though, rulings have gone through, and the College Football Playoff Committee is going to restructure the 2025 playoff format. And essentially what that's going to look like is if you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time going back to football season, essentially Jake and I have persuaded the committee to go with what we were saying the entire time. Us two, I think we changed the face of college football.
Yeah, co-commissioners of college football here.
Right. Yeah.
Granted,
I've got to take some credit for it.
We may have not been the only ones talking about it. To
be fair, it may have also been anybody who's also talked about college football on any platform ever, but
it may or may not have been complete common sense of a fix after we saw how this season went. but we'll take credit for it.
We also were a part of the conversation of agreeing to change it to this format. They're going to go based on the college football polls, 1 through 12. That's going to be the ranking going into it. And you do get your automatic bids, but there's and so, you know, essentially what it would kind of look like is the top 4 teams from the SEC would have been fighting more so for their position, like seating in terms of like the SEC championship or something along those lines. And so also notably, Notre Dame can get a top 4 seed now. They're not going to go based on your conference or anything like that. It's strictly the top 12 teams being ranked 1 through 12 going into the playoffs. So coincidentally enough, Jake, Texas would have actually probably would have gotten kicked out maybe a round earlier, because we would have been lined up to play the winner of Ohio State and Arizona State. Ohio State would have played us in the second round after our first round bye as a 3 seed. And then Ohio State probably, I'm not going to say that history changes. I'm going to say Ohio State wins that game.
Yeah, it would feel like too much cope to be like, well, if Texas gets the bye, they just beat Ohio State. No, I'm not going to go and say that when Ohio State won the whole damn thing.
So coincidentally enough, Texas did benefit from the 1 year that they.
So the funny thing is, they technically would have been a better seed. They would have had a bye, but yet they still would have gone out earlier, just the way it would have worked this year. But yeah, it's just what was needed. I like having the auto bids in there, and then you're basically just seeding 1 through 12 after that, because you still aren't necessarily taking the top 12 teams, because Clemson wouldn't have been in if you were just taking 1 through 12.
Right.
But you're taking your field of 12, and then you're ranking it 1 through 12 based off of the playoff rankings.
You do still get the G5 team, the top ranked G5 team.
Yeah, which I'm all for the automatic bids, because
they may not be a top 12 team. So in this case, I think Alabama still would have been not in.
Well, yeah, the field would have been the exact same. It doesn't change the field.
Oh yeah, because Clemson won the ACC. That's right. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't change the field. The field would have been the same.
It could have, not last year, but it could change things depending on kind of where teams are ranked and whatnot. But yes, I know what you're. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't really change how you decide the final 12. It just changes how the final 12 are seeded.
Correct.
And
the fact that they're going into it in 2025, this upcoming season. I mean, this year, it's being implemented. I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm glad they went ahead and just implemented it, because it was obvious it needed to be implemented. And, ironically enough, Texas, despite the fact they'd have been seated higher, would have been off worse. Oregon's sitting there like, what the hell, man? Because they would have made the national title game, and then maybe they feel like they at least play better. I mean, they did beat Ohio State.
They would have
they at least have a little more.
They would have had the winner of SMU in Indiana or something like
that. They
that.
would have gone to the national title.
Yeah.
I looked. We'll do a hypothetical next week.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert: Ohio State is going to be winning it all. I think for both of us, because we're not the type of people. Well, actually, in this hypothetical, Texas wins it all. I'm not that much of a homer.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to kind of be like, here's what that bracket would have been. Here's how we think it would have played out, other than Ohio State sweeping through it.
Correct. Yeah. All right. Well, Jake, that's all we've got right now as we are logging out of this episode. Top of the 4th, Texas trailing Clemson 3-2 at the moment. And so, again, we will we'll just have to talk about this game a little bit more, maybe on Monday, more than anything. And so we will. We'll talk more about the series, because they have another, they've got a 3-game series with Clemson. And so even if they drop this one, they still have tomorrow to make it up, and then hopefully Saturday as well. But hopefully they come back, win this one, take care of business on Friday. We get the weekend off. We'll talk to you about it on Monday. Speaking of Monday, we drop these episodes Monday through Friday, each and every day, dropping at noon. So please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate your time. We appreciate you listening to us. If you made it this far in the video, there's no reason for you not to subscribe to us. This is what we do on a daily basis, and we want to give it to you, to all of our Longhorn or non-Longhorn listeners. You don't have to like the Longhorns to listen to us. You could actually just listen to us and be like, wow, these two guys are idiots. They don't know what they're talking about. That's perfectly fine, too. We'll appreciate the view. We'll appreciate the interaction and the engagement from you, the listeners. So for Jake Jimerson, I'm Tanner Carlson, and as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.